We are live. Yes, we are live, and this is the Lynn and Brian show. And yeah, I'm kind of stalling, but might as well get the intro out of the way. I'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We are back, and it is our day to be on the show together. And as you can see, my co host isn't here yet, but he will be. And we had a great, interesting conversation yesterday. So our conversation was a little. We do this. Okay, so our show's real and raw. So we like talk the day before a show, and we're like, okay, what kind of topic? So this was our conversation yesterday. Hey, Lynn, very busy working his ass off. So nothing's new. You're always hard working. He goes, end of wedding season. So he's like, he's finishing something up right now, and then he's going to be here. And so our topic today, I said, what keeps your focus when you are at your busiest? Well, that's a great topic today because Brian, he's always makes time for this show, and he's always just getting here right under the wire. And so again, it's always real and raw. He's not here yet, but he'll be here momentarily. And so what I can share with you really quick is that on my busy days and when there's a lot going on, what I try to do is I write down everything that needs to be done, and I try to squeeze it into like a pattern. I grew up with theater, so everything is a matter of making sure the timing is done. So I allow enough time for this or that, and then I collate it. But most of all, sometimes it's overwhelming. So what I do is I stay focused, saying, okay, by this time, this is going to get done. And it can be overwhelming. But what I do is I say, I'll get through this one way or another. I don't prejudge how it's going to go. It's going to go the way it's going to go, just like it's a live show. And Brian's not here yet. And I look forward to Brian getting here because when he gets here, I get to greet him just like you do. So um, it's real and raw here. And I always appreciate you guys being here with us. And you see, I miss Brian when he's not here. So he's finishing up his wedding season, and he knows when we're going to be on. He's just trying to get here. So you're stuck with me right now. So what do you guys do to keep yourself focused when you're busy? Oh, and I got Rick here. Hi, Ricky. Thanks for being here. So the topic today about keeping focus when you're at your busiest, remember, things are going to happen with or without you. And you got to keep things on schedule because, it's not fair to the people that don't show up. And so you show up, you do the best you can, and you realize that um, everything is going to work out one way or another. But you set your intentions to be able to have enough time to put everything that's on your schedule. And that's why we need to be careful about overextending ourselves on our calendar by the things we need to do and what we can't do. And sometimes you're running late. And so Brian's not here yet, but I'm excited for him to get here. I know that he said he would just be finishing up. I believe he was finishing up. What was the rest of that message? He said he was. Let's see. I just got to get here my messages. But again, you got to show up. You got to be real and raw. And so he says, yeah. So he had a meeting, and again, sometimes meetings overflow, and other things just take place of what's going on. But I usually like to stay early or on top of my schedule. But sometimes there are times where you can't do that. There's the unforeseen, and you always got to give some room of error for that. Like I'm usually at work or anything early, just in case, there was accidents, detours, whatever. And some people don't have the luxury of that, but you do the best you can. You eyeball the time, and you do what you got to do within that time. So thank you, Ricky. Yeah, I got this. And Brian's got his thing he's doing right now. So as far as staying focused on things when it's busiest, you got to look at the big picture. What is it you're trying to accomplish? Whether it's a project or whether it's something that needs to be done by a deadline. I think sometimes it reminds me back in high school or going to school. You have to finish your homework or it's like, okay, what day is that paper due? Or in college, it's like, when's that paper due? And you think, oh, I got plenty of time. I won't sleep. I won't do this. We barter with ourselves for our time, and we all have the same hours in the same in the day as everybody. But it's just how you allocate your time. So if you wake up early and you're good in the early morning hours, then that's when you should do things that you don't want to get done. Because sometimes if you get the hardest things done out of the way, the rest are a piece of cake. Or there's those days where I'd rather do everything that's easier than doing the harder. But either way you pick at it, you got to start somewhere. You can't just contemplate both lists. The shit that you want to do and the stuff you do want to do. I mean, if it's all on your list, do something at least. Or, sometimes what I do is if I've got chores to do around the house, I'm like, oh, this goes to that room. Let me pick it up and take it over there, and vice versa. So I'm just chatting away here, and this is why I always have a co-host, because I love to banter with somebody instead of talking to myself like I am right now. Uh, yeah, and Ricky, what did you say here? How do you kick yourself in the butt to start? Well, that's a good question, and I can answer that one. I look at it this way: the sooner I start, the quicker I could be done with that. And so it's just like, doing dishes or anything else. If you kick yourself to start doing it, then it'll be in the rearview mirror and it won't have it in front of you. But if you don't start, you're going to continue to have more piled on top of that, and then it becomes overwhelming. So I find that at least if I do a little at a time, eventually I'll be done. And I kind of like, I give myself a list of things that need to get done, and I may put them in a certain order, but then I find out that that's not the order that I need to. And look who showed up, my Brian.
What's up?
So, hey, thank you first of all so much for being here. I was telling everybody, this is why I love a co-host, because I talk 7 minutes all by myself. So, Brian, thank you so much for always being here. And I know you had an appointment before this, so thank you for just showing up, and I appreciate you. So I just
Oh
gave
yeah.
some of my antics and some of the things. As far as Ricky just asked me the question, how do you kick yourself in the butt to start? And I told him that I figure if the sooner I start, the quicker I can be done. If not, it's just a delay of achieving that. I don't know if you want to answer to that or not.
Sure. I think it's self-belief that whatever you're up to, I think you got to pick something, right? Something that you want to move forward, because I think how do you do to start? I think is too large of a thought,
Overwhelm.
or
Yeah,
or
overwhelming.
it's overwhelm versus like, okay, what is it that you want to move? Like when you think of that, what project or what thing do you want to do in your life that if you did that, that would move that forward,
Yeah.
right?
And
And I think that you have to start with a project or something that's very important to you and then go from there. I don't think it's possible to do it with such a wide, overarching, broad question like that. I think it's got to be about something, because, people take action on the things that they value. So what is it, Ricky? What is one thing that you want to move forward on, right?
yeah.
And I think that when you start that process, that's when the ball gets moving.
And I love that. Yeah, because like, for years I had my daughter upstairs, and before that it was the marriage, and I had all his stuff here. So I went from the ex's stuff to my daughter having the whole upstairs, and me bringing my old office down here, and it was just, I lived and I had to deal with all the clutter and the hoarderness around. So now it's just like, wait, I
Mm-hmm.
keep moving things and literally getting them out of my way. One, I just need my center of my paradise of the one room I stay with most of the time. And it does feel good, bite size, and knowing I'm getting somewhere instead of the whole big, overwhelming picture. So, um,
Right.
but anyhow, I'm going to reflect the question to you. What keeps you, or your focus? Oh, I couldn't hear you, Brian. Yeah. It's kind of hard to hear you, but I think you said you never move the needle. Yeah, I can hear you. It's just very low. Your volume got low. That's all. Oh, we lost him. And he'll be back. So, but yeah, it gets to be overwhelming to look at the big picture is what we were talking about. And there he is. Oh, I can hear you better. I can hear noise.
Cool. There we go.
Yeah, I got you. So you were saying something
Yep.
about moving the needle?
No, I was just no. I think it's too much at once if you don't attach it to something small.
Yeah, exactly. And Ricky said, and I agree with Ricky, watch the road.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
no, so what keeps you your focus when you're at your busiest? Just accomplishing what the task is, or how do you get through it yourself? I think he's moving to an area where we can hear him better. One of us is having trouble, but it's good to see Brian. He's trying to find a good internet. Yeah, I can hear you, but very low. Oh, again. See, we get busy, and then there's technological things happen sometimes, and that's okay because they just happen. And so there's Brian back.
I'm trying to get some internet that is consistent here, driving around this parking lot of this hospital. So,
Nope, you're good right now. Don't
cool.
move.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to.
Okay.
It's like I'm trying to find the gold spot or the fishing spot. You know what I mean? Just stay here and try to fish. Oh.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
All right. So your question was?
Yeah, it's scrolling on the bottom there. What keeps your focus when you're at your busiest?
Sure. Well, I came up with 5 things. Number one is the overall outcome, right? It's like, and I think too is that the longer that you've been working on something, the more you got at stake. But also though, it's like look at where you came as you reflect on in your mind. You know, like little goals that you set for yourself or the relationship you're developing. You know, I think that in your heart you will feel different. But also though, like as you reflect on what that person has said to you, whether it's therapy, coaching, doesn't make any difference. There are, if you're in touch with them, there will be things that just kind of um, reward your heart, if you will. You know what I mean? But the overall outcome of what you're creating for that particular person or what you set out to do, I think is how you get through it. Through the busiest time, like, you got to cross the finish line, right? Like when I do a wedding, it's like there's so much anticipation. It's one of the biggest day of a couple's lives, and we got to cross the finish line by putting everything that we invested our time and money into. We need to put this into place, right? And everything that was said and everything that was done now needs to be on the biggest stage.
Yep, it's a
So,
production, just like
mhm,
life is a production. I said that earlier when we started. Is I'm thankful for performing arts and theater because it really
yep,
is putting everything together that you've practiced or you've focused on, and just making. It's just like even cooking for a chef. You
yep,
gotta know when to put that cake in, and and mash the potatoes, and when to have the dessert, and when to have the appetizer before the dinner or the dessert.
mhm,
It's all collating the things that you anticipate for that moment, or just like when people prepare for vacations, right?
yep,
They're
yep,
always, oh, I gotta pack the bag, I gotta do this. And we all have so many hours in the day, and yet we forget that if we do a little at a time, then we don't get overwhelmed. That's why I do take about 3 or 4 weeks to pack before I go on vacation. I pack little by little, 'cause then I can unpack the idea of when at least put a pile of things that I might consider to take with me, and
mhm,
then process elimination, and then try to clean up before I leave the house.
yeah. I think that beside, like from the outcome, then you can break it down even further. I think you could say your commitment, you know, is what helps you get through is your commitment that you're going to do whatever it takes, whatever you committed to, whatever you put yourself accountable to, you don't shortchange that. And you know inside of your heart, you know inside of your mind that you did everything you possibly could, right? And that's free from the outcome. But you know inside of your heart, you took no shortcuts. You took, you didn't make excuses for anything. And I think that that has to be valued, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, but then, you know, to use crossing the finish line, you know, you committed to do all the training, to do the run or to do the marathon or to, you know, help a couple with their wedding day, right? Whatever it might be, or write a book, you know, that you know, that commitment has to be acknowledged. If you choose to disregard it or minimize it, you're not going to be as fulfilled as you could be, because you need to acknowledge yourself. Now,
Right.
it is okay to acknowledge yourself in a self-indulgent way, but it's because you can't do your best for others unless you do the best for yourself first. And so to
Yeah.
acknowledge your commitment that, hey, here's what I said I was going to do, and then to tie in with that is integrity. Right? Now, my definition of integrity is your your bond is your word, right? Your word is your bond. And, you know, as Larry Winget says, you know, definition of integrity is doing what you say you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. You don't really have to say very much if you did everything you know, if you were accountable to everything. You ever notice that when somebody makes excuses, they go on and on and on and on and on? But somebody that was living out of integrity, they probably wouldn't be working with those people if their integrity was not in store and somebody wanted that, you know? Oh,
Yeah. You know, it cracks.
it's interesting about when somebody lives out of, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
It's
go
like
ahead.
when somebody lives out of integrity, there's really nothing more to be said because they said it up front, because they were anticipating what they were going to deliver.
Yeah. And I'm just chuckling here because, okay, corny as it may be, but I need to do it for me for structure. But it doesn't even matter. I've got a blackboard and I put on chores or whatever I'm going to do for the day. And yesterday I was like going to finish a corner by my closet. And, and, well, Baker man trumped and that's not an excuse. That was, I'll go to Baker man whenever I can. So, but before I got the call to see Baker man, I was going to do the closet. But because I had it on my thing personally, like nobody else knows if I'm going to take care of the laundry basket by my closet, but I did, right? And so I was like, oh, but I want to see Baker and I got to do this. And I had a hard ass time with myself because I put it on there, laundry basket. And I was like, oh, but it was really hard because did the Lynn, give yourself a day. Just let it be. It's okay. But even just freaking doing a laundry basket was like really hard because I wrote
Yep.
that shit down and I was like, and my kids always held me accountable. I'm blessed to say my kids, because I worked at night doing my lingerie business and stuff. And we got to the point where we said, when I said, and things changed, like I had health issues. So like I promised, let's go here and there. And then when we eat, I'd get sick. I mean, but I was like, but mom, you promised. And so I never tried to do promises that I can't keep. But when I said I promised, then I promised. And that was really, really important to keep promises. And so my kids know our word. You know, I taught them, you know, you promise, you don't break a promise at all. So
Correct.
I don't know what Brian's
100%.
doing over there,
There
but
was a bee in my vehicle and I had to let him out.
that I'm glad you did. Yeah, I'm glad you
I,
did.
uh, I can't make this stuff up, you know?
That's real and raw, man. I just saw your face like, I'm like, okay, who's approaching the
Oh,
car?
well, and the thing is that you could definitely tell that he didn't know what to do because he kept climbing, but then falling because the window's up so high. So I'm like, I'll just help him out here. So,
Yeah, I'll open the door. Get the hell out of here.
so
Anyways,
the final, the final two things are that I came up with for this topic. Well, there's actually three, and I'll make them short because we're coming close to time here. Is we define what busy is, you know, whatever we deem as busy. Oh, I'm busy. Okay, well, if you say it, it's true, just like Henry Ford said, right? So if we say that we're busy or if we think that we're busy, well, then that's how it's going to show up, right? or it could just be another day where you're just doing what you do and next project up, get it done, move on to the next one. Okay. So in order to conquer this, how we deal with being busy is a love for your belief in yourself, in your customers, in your community, in your family, in those you serve, and just overall, right? Because you're taking so much of yourself to serve other people, but none of this makes any difference if you don't start with the belief you have in yourself. But it's like you have to love yourself, and this is something I'm working on all the time, is self-love, right? I give so much away to other people, time, effort, support, a friendly ear, and relationships. But it's like the love you have, and it's like, what are you creating in the world? You know, maybe not now, but in the future, like, what are you working on? What are you taking a stand for? And it's like that love should be respected and acknowledged. You know, um, and then the last one is how it feels. Like it's all about the feeling, about how it feels to um, complete something that you gave your word to, right? You gave your word, and you did it with all out excuses, blame, distractions.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about that in this world, because that's a scapegoat for many people. you know Even after they gave their word and took somebody's money, if it's a business environment, they make up excuses and blame, and the weather wasn't right, or my dog didn't wake up on the right side of the bed, or whatever it is. And it's like how it feels to complete something, with integrity, with an overall outcome in mind, and just with no distractions, just straight up, here's what I delivered, here's what I was accountable to, and here's what I did with the opportunity.
I love everything you say, because one thing I learned about yesterday, and the fact that I wrote that on my list and I didn't accomplish my list yesterday. I know it's petty. It's a laundry basket with a variety of clothes that need to be hung up or sorted or put away, put in the winter or summer pile or whatever. To me, it's just like annoying, but it's also annoying to see it. So my thing though is I was trying to give
Hmm.
myself grace and say, oh no, but you can do that later, because you can do that later. And I'm like, I didn't like that, because it was on a list. The
Yep.
list and finishing it is more important to me than giving myself grace whatsoever, or an excuse to let it go another day, which shit, I'm getting
Yep.
off of here and that basket is going to be done. Because I realized how important, if I put something on my list, if it's not done, I don't feel accomplished. You know, same thing with that whole damn book thing. It was like, I said I was going to get it done, and what kept me focused was, no, it's going to be done. It's going to be done. And that
Yep.
that was like, so there was no option there. I had to turn around. It was a closed wall, and come back and say, okay, that no excuses there. But when we and that's another good thing we should talk about next time. How do you deal when all these excuses or validations come up in your mind, you know and how you validate? We spend so much time validating our excuses that we don't realize by the time we're done,
Yep.
we could be done. Like I said, by the time you're done, you could have had published that book or done whatever. I mean, we just spend so much
Yep.
time in the wrong direction, not going the direction we want because we're scared of the unknown. So,
Correct. 100%. Yep.
anyways, thank you so much, Brian, for being here. I love your
Of
face. I
course.
love your personality. It's an honor and a pleasure doing this show with you. We're going on 2 years
Absolutely.
doing this, buddy. Two
Woo,
years. I
woo,
know.
woo.
Oh, that's so awesome. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And I know, and yeah, Ricky's been home with back surgery, and he's like, I'm so lazy, things are piled up here. Well, give yourself grace. You are healing. I mean, that's if you don't
Yep.
heal yourself right, you've got to realize this. If you don't take, I mean, like, your health is first. If you don't
Yep.
have your health, you don't give yourself, then you're never going to be healthy enough to go directly. And Sunshine's here, and we
Sunshine.
love you too, Sunshine. She's in Augusta, Florida. So she's
Nice.
my sister-in-law's cousin. So she gets to see each other here soon. So again, thank you so much for being here, you guys. Your time's valuable, so is ours, and we just appreciate and love you so much. And again, it just enjoy your weekend, because it starts tomorrow.
Yes, it
And
does.
yes, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Brian. Love you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next week. Be safe out there.
Yep. Bye.